Chevrolet junk. Watch this. Stop your friggin' beeping. Houston, we have a problem. I just stopped to get some gas. Turned it off, started it back up, and isn't that funny that I just changed the, or greased the idler. And then I cleaned the pulley of the alternator. Now she's not charging. That was a couple of hours ago, and everything's been fine up until I stopped here for some cheap gas, and luckily there's no breeze, and it's 50 degrees, 10 degrees Celsius. And I think my alternator has given up the ghost. I Googled it, and it says check for a 50 amp fuse, 125 amp fuse. I checked all these big fuses up here, they're all fine. So, I do have a good alternator here. I bought it from the junkyard in Phoenix, and I had it tested at AutoZone. It tested okay, even though it was sat outside in the rain. So, what we're going to do now is disconnect the battery and waste some time changing the alternator. Hopefully that's what the problem was. I didn't do a thing except clean the pulley. Oh, come on. So, we've got a no charge situation. And that's not good. And it just happened, so my battery should be fine. Yep. No charge on the alternator. It's bad enough my oil pressure's low, 20 pounds. I watched a couple of videos on the oil pump and how to prime it with the plug in the side and how to space it and shim it. And you've got a high pressure oil pump you're putting in, or a high pressure, high volume. So I'm somewhat aware of what's going on with my Chevy oil pump pickup and the O-ring issue, and can't get to the bolt and the little... Anyways, I'm going to start taking this thing off. I'm going to put you on pause for a minute because there may be some swearing involved. I swear I didn't drive the car, Daddy. Okay, I got the nut loose for the battery wire. Luckily, this Suburban 6-liter is really easy to work on. Thank goodness. I'm not convinced it's the alternator, but it's the easiest thing to do since I can't find a fuse. And I've got to release the tension on the belt with my 15 millimeter, which I put over where? Just had it. It's not there. The 15 millimeter is right here next to my lamp. Isn't that funny? I've got my 15 millimeter on the idler and I want to leave it there. So I'm going to use this 3/8 drive. I went to Wally World and I bought another ratchet set. $88. Hard to believe. I had one and it just walked away. Somebody looked at it and said, nobody else is looking, it must be free. It's amazing how easy it is to change the alternator on this truck. The whole job's going to take me 15 or 20 minutes. I just hope it's the problem. And the bolt comes out without interfering with something else. I was watching a video, Ray something, what's his name? He's got a big screen behind him and he was discussing the oil pickup tube that's behind the timing cover with the oil pump. And I didn't realize that the pump was behind the timing cover, so maybe this thing's been changed, or who knows. Now I'm going to pry this thing out of here without breaking it, because it may not be the problem. I do have a crowbar in the back. Let's go look for my crowbar. Luckily, it's an easy alternator to change, and I have a spare. Got some nice door handles, and somewhere here I have a crowbar. Made in USA Wally World crowbar. It is, I just saw it. There it is. There goes something. There goes mayhem and madness. A couple of spare starters. One's a new Chinese one, and one's a USA one, or whatever, wherever they're made. I'm so paranoid now to close everything up, even though this is Central Kansas. People are so polite. The Wizard of Oz is polite. Dorothy's polite. And the tiger, oh my. Pry, baby, pry. Just got the plug to remove now. And I parked myself strategically under the $2.39 a gallon sign. Still not as cheap as South Carolina. Maybe we'll end up there one day. That That's where Miss Hip Chick wanted to go, but look at that. And luckily there was one of these in the junkyard. This is the larger amperage one. It's a larger diameter, and I bet you the mount is different because the alternator is. Ding. I'm pretty sure I got the right one. Yep. Slight difference in the way the case looks. Slightly larger. So let's pop this baby in. Too bad there was no reman ones in the junkyard. Just one good used one. And all the LS trucks, I checked them all. Alright, let's pop her back in. The little hoses and things. Places to leak. This intake manifold will probably come off, and I'll do the gaskets. You know, they're a failure problem area, so just a minute. What I just did while you were sleeping is I just tapped these bushings or sleeves slightly through the housing. You got to be careful. This housing is really thin. So I just tapped them 1/16 of an inch. Be careful. Don't bust that off. You got to change this whole power steering pump idler housing. So now I can slide the alternator in without having to hammer it down and crack the housing of the alternator. Yeah, fits right in. So put a drop of grease on the bolts and start putting it back together. Luckily that's an easy job, if it's the problem. Alrighty, I got a bit of grease on the bolts, and I'll start tightening things back up as soon as I find my ratchet. If it's the problem, I was reading a post on that Google brought up, and some guy answered and said, well, the problem was the alternator wasn't charging, and they changed it and tested it or whatever. The guy said, oh, I've got a wiring diagram here. Just look under the hood in the fuse box, and there'll be a 125 amp fuse, and there is none here. And I checked all of these here. Luckily, I had a pair of vice grips, because otherwise they do not come out. They're in there tight, and the little ones are too small to grip. So I had the vice grip. It didn't get stolen, but I bought it at the flea market for $2, genuine, made in USA. So I checked all these fuses. There's no 125. That's just a junction block. I'm going to plug in my plugger mahoogie, and maybe it's as simple as changing the alternator. Literally a 15-minute job. It's so easy to get to. Look at that belt. I always get nervous when those belts drop down, droop down. It's not the alternator. It's Chevrolet. That's the third one I've seen in the last 15 minutes. There was one over there. Black one just rumbled in, lowered, slammed. He was really rumbling. And I see that one. Third one in 15 minutes. All right, let's do some wiring here. I've got my plug plugged in. I've got my repaired wire here ready to be installed. With another drop of grease. Things get a little rusty here in Kansas. Not as bad as where I'm from. Tighten this. I hope this was the problem. It'd be nice, just be right back on the road. Just a few minute delay. 150 foot-pounds on that. I didn't do anything different, just cranked her up. Put the belt on, and that'll be that. The battery and the intake hose. So give me a second while I put this belt on. It's a little bit of a chore, two-handed chore. All right, that wasn't too bad. The ratchet slipped off once. Be better to do this with an extra long box end key, because you got the fan and the fan shrouds in the way if there was a notch here. Anyhow, I guess I'll start it up now before I put everything back together. Put the battery back on. It'll purge all my codes from the computer, I suppose. The check engine light goes on occasionally. It says EGR, which could be the EGR has to be cleaned. And the other code is for the knock sensor, which there's two of them under the intake, and they are susceptible to, give me a sec, they are susceptible to moisture damage. And I've seen things suffer moisture damage. I had an Arizona, or Las Vegas, Nevada Suburban several years ago. I had a corroded connector for the tailgate. The guy came to pick it up. Tailgate wouldn't work, so we found the connector was corroded. Go figure. Alrighty, let's see what happens. And my starter's weak, but I'm not changing that. Yeah. Oh, look at that. The computer's doing a bit of a dance because the air intake is off. Oh, she's charging. A little erratic, but problem solved. Problem with using this phone, my cell phone, as a camera is I can't make any phone calls. So we turn that off. We are back in business. Hallelujah. And go figure. Alternator's gonna die. That's why you carry a spare. Went to AutoZone. It was 180 bucks for a starter, 178 for an alternator. So I bought one from the junkyard. And the guy was nice enough to give me a half-price deal, which is normally on November 17th. They have a half-price sale, but I begged and pleaded, and he conceded. Thank you very much. At the Pull and Pay in Phoenix. And Gavin's his name, nice guy. And I got my alternator, and I'm back in business. So I'll make sure everything is secured and put back on, and praise the Lord and pass the mashed potatoes. We are back in business. No rip-off garage and make his living. Overcharging me like everybody does. Don't we know all that? Those stories. All right. Another Chevy truck. That guy goes through the mud. That is a mud truck. Nice truck, buddy.
You need some help?
We're all fixed up. Just change the alternator on the side of the road. How many miles you got on that truck? I'm just making a video. Yeah, I need your glasses. Oh, hang on, I got mine on. 169.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Quite a few.
That's got 258. We're driving it from California to New York, and it just crapped out here, but it's fixed.
If I had different tires on here, I wouldn't mind driving this that far.
I'll tell you what, I'll trade you those tires for those, because those are done, finished, kaput.
Yeah, well, the only thing is these fuckers ride rough when you're going down here. And on the mud, dude, you can't stake these fuckers.
You go in the mud?
Yes, I go in the mud.
Is that what that is? I thought it was a little talcum powder.
Yeah. No, I got crazy one day and I went sliding around on the dirt road.
You watch videos on YouTube?
Sometimes.
I'm Corvair Wild on YouTube.
Are you?
Yeah, I'm just making a video of me fixing my truck in the gas station. Well, you take care.
Yeah. Where are you from?
Upper U.S.
US?
Upstate New York, way at the very tippy top.
I'm sorry.
It's okay.
No, it's all right. New York City sucks, but the rest
300 miles away. Just like Kansas City. You live in Kansas? You live in Kansas City? No, not the same thing.
How about Buffalo? There's a, oh shit, I can't think of the name.
400 miles.
Water Springs, Boyle Springs, or something like that.
400 miles away.
Waterfalls.
Yeah, Niagara Falls.
Yeah.
I heard about that place.
Me and my wife, we used to be team drivers. We camped out there one night at the bar.
But not too close to the falls.
No, we couldn't get that close. We were at a small falls there.
Yeah.
And, man, we had a blast. And people were cool there. But New York City, you
No, it's a whole different.
have that motherfucker for everything.
If we're in Kansas, we're not in Kansas City.
That's true.
Let's see. I'm in New York, but it ain't New York City.
Right.
It's a wicked place.
Yeah,
It's a
you're
good
right.
tourist trap. All right, I got to get back to my.
I'm gonna go down here now.
Keep the shiny side up.
Right on.
Nice Chevy truck. Nice man from Kansas. Yeah, we're not in Kansas City. All right. Somehow my buddy Nick just called. He knew we were having some roadside problems. So we'll put this thing back together and we'll hop on out of here. Off to the Wizard of Oz. Well, hey now. We're all done. Just put this little clippy in for the radiator hose. This is a real chore to get this thing on. You got to take it off the intake and put it on the plastic, and then you slide it into the, yeah, whatever, done. All right, let's pack up the sheep, and actually I'll take a picture. I'll stop the video and take a picture, selfie. Just heard another Suburban come in here, just like this, a half-ton. Motor's going tick, 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 tick. Wonder if they have oil pump problems. Well, look at that, she's all fixed. Let's crank this baby up. Set the tools aside so they don't end up in the fan or somewhere where they don't belong. Let's crank her up. Still got a sick starter, but it seems to be consistently sick, not getting worse. Yep, full charge. signal I want to see on the information center. Cargo door ajar. Not a no charge situation. Yep. Alternator just died, just like that. Nothing you can do about it. Just shoot happens. So much for my clean pulley, huh? Never know. Luckily, I got a spare. Otherwise, it'd be installing a $180 one from AutoZone plus core. All right, we're all done at the 24/7 travel store, wherever we are in Kansas. Somewhere far away. I think 400 miles away from Kansas City, Kansas. St. Charles, Missouri. Alrighty. Thanks for watching.